Presidential campaigns in the United States are long and complex. These campaigns can begin years before the general election with much informal behind-the-scenes activity, often referred to as the money primary or invisible primary. This early process generally narrows down the candidates, with those unable to raise enough funds dropping out of the campaign. This stage, however, does not always determine who will win the nomination. It is common for candidates who are able to raise large sums of money to not necessarily capture the enthusiasm and votes of party members. Yet candidates who struggle to raise sufficient money are unlikely to be successful. The formal presidential primary and caucus season typically lasts from early February in a presidential election year to sometime in June. The months of campaigning are marked by rallies with supporters, town hall meetings with voters, primetime television debates among groups of candidates, and a plethora of television campaign ads, particularly in key states. Primaries and caucuses held later in the campaign may have little or no influence on the outcome of the nomination, if one candidate has clearly won the backing of enough delegates to win the nomination in the early nominating contests. Incumbent presidents running for re-election often run unopposed for their party's nomination, making the presidential primary largely a pro forma exercise. Sometimes, though, sitting presidents face a primary challenger. Senator Eugene McCarthy's strong showing in the New Hampshire primary in 1968, for example, convinced President Lyndon Johnson to withdraw from the race. And Senator Edward Kennedy's campaign in 1980 posed a significant challenge to President Jimmy Carter's re-election effort. The Democratic and Republican parties formally nominate their presidential candidates at nominating conventions, but the vast majority of delegates for those conventions are selected based on primaries and caucuses in the states. The rules for how delegates are allocated to candidates varies from state to state. In a winner-take-all system, typically used by the Republican Party, the candidate who wins the largest number of votes in the state primary gets to choose all the delegates who attend the national nominating convention from that state. In a proportional system, which the Democratic Party generally requires, candidates get delegates based on their share of the primary vote. Since a majority of the delegates is required to win the presidential nomination, in practice, this means that it generally takes longer for a Democratic presidential candidate to win a majority compared to a Republican nominee. It is common for parties to send a few superdelegates to the national convention. In the Republican Party, the superdelegates include the top 3 members of the state party committee, but they are committed to voting for the candidate who has the backing of the state party delegation. In the Democratic Party, these individuals include political office holders and influential party members, and they are not pledged to support a particular candidate. In 2018, bowing to criticism that these unelected superdelegates might skew the results of the primaries and caucuses, the Democrats changed their rules so that these superdelegates would only vote if no candidate won a majority on the first ballot at the national convention. The very first majority party presidential nominating convention was held by the Democratic Party in 1836, and it produced Martin Van Buren, handpicked by the popular outgoing president Andrew Jackson, as the nominee. During the 19th century and into the 20th century, conventions could be raucous affairs, with party bosses meeting behind the scenes to throw their support behind a candidate they favored. Speeches at the convention and demonstrations by delegates on the floor provided lively contests between the supporters of rival candidates. Today, candidates' campaign staffs work closely with party leaders to plan virtually every moment of the convention in order to put the candidate in the most favorable light possible, particularly because major television news organizations show the evening proceedings live. One of the first events at the convention is the adoption of the party platform, a formal set of goals endorsed by a political party. The official party position on a host of issues, the platform generally reflects the eventual nominees' positions. As with other aspects of presidential conventions, platform fights are largely a thing of the past, and what debates do occur generally take place during the day and away from the glare of the television spotlight. The presidential general election campaign gets underway after the party nominating conventions are over. Even though technology has influenced the nature of these campaigns, candidates still engage in traditional tactics. They tour the country giving speeches and interviews with the press to put forth their positions on issues and criticize those of the opposing candidate. Advertisements, mailings, and press conferences are also used to convey their message, and advertisements on television and radio have long been common. However, the advent of the internet and social media has created new ways for campaigns to specifically target certain segments of the electorate. During the general election campaign, presidential candidates typically participate in a series of debates, generally with one debate devoted to the vice presidential candidates. These televised events provide candidates the opportunity to argue their position and address or refute the positions of their opponents, often before a live audience. Debates may focus on one set of issues such as foreign policy or domestic policy, with journalists asking the questions, although presidential debates sometimes include questions asked by ordinary citizens. The winner of the election campaign is determined by the Electoral College. Each state has the same number of Electoral College votes as it has representatives and senators in Congress, and the District of Columbia has 3. Electors are selected by state party organizations before the popular vote is held. In all states except Maine and Nebraska, which allocate an electoral vote for each congressional district, a candidate wins, plus 2 to the state's overall winner. The candidate who wins the most popular votes in the state is supposed to receive all of that state's electoral votes. Electors are generally not bound to vote for a particular candidate, however, and elections commonly have at least one or more faithless electors, individuals who don't vote for the candidate they were pledged to support. However, faithless electors have never changed the winner of a presidential election. Although it may seem logical that states with large numbers of electoral votes will get more attention from presidential candidates, in practice this is often not the case. In some states, voters strongly favor one political party, making a victory for that party's candidate highly likely. Candidates from both parties may well ignore those states, even if they deliver many electoral votes. Instead, they focus on swing states. Swing states, which change over time, are those in which no political party dominates, where elections are competitive, and where either major presidential party candidate has a chance to win. These dozen or so states, also called battleground states, can be key to forging an electoral majority of 270 electoral votes. The Electoral College system makes it possible for a candidate to win the national popular vote, but lose the vote in the Electoral College, as occurred in 1824, 1876, 1888, 2000, and 2016. Candidates who win large popular majorities in very populous states inflate their popular vote total, but the greater margin of victory does not yield them any additional electoral votes. At the same time, winning a state rich in electoral votes by a narrow margin can give a candidate who is less popular overall all of that state's many electoral votes. Moreover, because electoral votes are generally allocated on a winner-take-all basis and third-party candidates win some votes, it is quite common for a candidate to win the presidency with less than a majority of the popular votes cast.